From Land Grant Brewing Company, Columbus, Ohio.
Right in front, too.
Just make sure to get a bunch of spittle, like all over the mic.
Yeah, I'm good at that.
Ooh, that's good.
Did you like that? Were you recording that one?
Yeah.
Land Grant Brewing presents Land Grant University. Beers with the Brewers.
Yo, what's up, everybody? How's it sounding out there? We sound all right? Can you hear? All right. Welcome to Beers with the Brewers on a Saturday afternoon. Very uncommon for us here at the brewery. Normally we record on Wednesdays at 3:30 in the tap room, but we had to stop that due to COVID, so now we mostly record remotely unless we can record outside like today. So I am Mark Richards, and joining today on the podcast, we've got the panel of the founders of Land Grant Brewing Company, Adam Benner.
Well, Mark, why are we here today?
Oh, 6 years of beers.
We're celebrating our 6th anniversary, so thanks everyone for coming out today.
There is that.
Adam here.
And we've got Walt Keys.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for coming out. Cheers.
Yeah, and Quintin, also known as Q in these parts, Jessee.
Hey.
All right.
Nice seeing all you out there.
Yeah, we're broadcasting this live on Instagram. I'm not able to access that, so if you can't hear me, well, it's too late now. So,
Yeah, if you're out there, got any questions, feel free to submit. Mark is going to be looking at those Instagram live comments. Anyone out here in the beer garden, if you have any questions, we'll open it up here in a bit as well. Kind of the rundown. You got some anniversary 6-packs in front of you.
Oh, yeah.
the sold out
yeah.
anniversary 6-pack.
Does everybody got their 6-packs delivered? Because we're going to taste through these, and I think it would make the most sense rather than wait till we're done talking to drink these. We should probably crack one right now.
Yeah,
So,
let's do. Yeah, we've made the mistake. We've been doing a lot of Zoom tastings recently, and then you start talking about the history of Land Grant and get about 15 minutes in, and everyone's like, "We don't really care. We just want to drink the beer." So,
Yeah, and feel free to jump ahead if we get slowed down.
Yeah. So we're going to start it off with a collaborative effort with the food truck located right over here that's always on our property. And they are open Thursday through Sundays, and they are open today. So if you guys get hungry later, Ray's Hog Pit, you may be able to see which one that is because it's got their pig on there. And this is a smoked lager. And this was actually smoked with the smoke from their smoker that they use when they smoke the meats every week down here at Land Grant. And our head brewer, Dan, rigged up a little contraption to bring the smoke into a keg full of malt and brewed this on the pilot system. Kind of something that's, I would say, in the vein of a Vienna lager, and then also with a little bit of smoke. So this is not the Beechwood age or Beechwood smoked, I should say, that you would expect from a brew from Bamberg, but this is the actual wood that they use to smoke their meats here at Land Grant. Pretty refreshing for a smoked beer. So get one poured, tip your glasses, and we're going to start right in with the panel discussion with Q, Adam, and Walt on how did Land Grant get started. Gentlemen.
well, first off, cheers, everyone. Yeah, thanks for coming out. Appreciate it.
Yeah,
Happy 6th.
celebrating a little differently this year,
Yeah.
but it's a celebration nonetheless. And happy you all came out to party with us in a very safe and distanced way.
Yeah, actually, I think we'll interject a little bit about the beer as we kind of talk history too. So, one thing as we look at this Meat Sweats beer. It's a great partnership we've had with Ray Ray's here for, it's been about 3 years now, and we used to do a food and beer pairing on Sunday nights, Hickory and Oak, and if you were able to come out to that, it was really neat to see the folks there flex their culinary muscles, because I always tell people, if I probably would have started barbecuing before I got into beer and home brewing, I probably would have started a barbecue restaurant first. It's probably my second love. So having the best barbecue in Ohio here at Land Grant is it's a lesson in self-control. So being able to do this beer with them was a really, really cool experience, I know, for our brewers. And as someone who isn't a big a smoked lager fan, and shout out to our friends over at, if anyone watched the Great American Beer Festival Awards last night, our friends at Wolf's Ridge won a bronze medal for their smoked beer, which, again, most of the time you got a lot more smoke to it, and this is a lot more subtle than what you might expect from a traditional smoked lager, which is probably why I really like it. And I think again, before we get too far into this one, I do have a question for you over here, Mark.
Woo, baby. I think you got to like the smoke, and I do. So I would probably rank this about I like what you're laying down over there, Walt. I'd probably hit this at about a 4 crusher for me. I think I'd be ready to switch to something else just with smoke. But actually, if you're having Ray Ray's Meat Sweats with it and you were trying to crush that, you might be able to get through the whole 6er.
So you'd hit the smoke at 4?
Actually, yeah, I don't want to elaborate on that, but it could be 20 minutes off.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're not familiar with our podcast, Beer with the Brewers, we have a crushability scale, and it's essentially on a 6-pack of beer. How many of those in your session would you be able to crush? We do have the quarantine edition, but we are all here out, so we'll just do regular, since all of us have to get home from here. So we crush responsibly. Uber, Lyft, if you go too far. What about you, Walt?
I think Mark's about right. 4. Full disclosure, I'm not a big smoke flavor fan, and I don't tend towards the lagers, so it's.
So you're saying you don't like anything about this beer?
It's not my beer, we'll say, but I understand the appreciation that people. I understand where people would like it, and I think 4 is probably about right.
Mr. Quintin.
I'm going to go with a 3 because I could easily crush 3 of these eating a barbecue meal, and I'd like to. I think this is a great pairable beer with food.
Yeah, I think I'd probably round it out at 3, so we'll go 3.5. I agree with Q that it's it would be great pairing if you did have a Meat Sweats box in front of you, and a shout out. You can order on rayrays.app if you're here in the beer garden, if you don't have to wait in line. So, and then pick it up. So,
Right.
But to answer your question, Mark, to jump in now that we've opened a beer, how'd this get started? I'll probably pick that one up. I always tell people it was a extreme curiosity. I've always been a tinkerer, and I was living in Chicago, and after college, and started really getting into beer. I think so. Walt and I, if you're not familiar with our story, Walt and I lived with each other at Ohio State in a house with a non-fraternity, but there was 14 guys in that house. It was we consumed some alcoholic beverages.
After we all turned 21.
Yes, yeah, and I think we would splurge on 30 racks of Busch Light, and so that was really our kind of the beers we would drink. And after graduating and being in Chicago, when I first moved to Chicago, there was maybe 7 or 8 breweries in Chicagoland proper, and ended up living by a small brew pub called Peace. It's a great New Haven style pizzeria, and have won a lot of awards, and really started getting into beers. And as I was saying, a tinkerer and very curious, decided that I wanted to figure out how beer was made, and at the time I was working at Walgreens in their corporate offices, which is north of the city. So I would always just kind of explore the northern burbs on my lunch breaks, and found a homebrew shop not too far away, and that was a great way to burn an hour and talk to the guy that ran the shop, who went to brewing school in Vermont. Really picked his brain and started brewing shortly after, and it was essentially right when I got back from my wedding. My buddy Colin and I brewed our first batch of beer in my kitchen in Chicago, and it was a Fat Tire clone, so New Belgium Fat Tire, nice amber ale, and really got hooked. And very, very shortly after, as a lot of home brewers do, you name your home brewery, and you start making labels for the beers, and that's when I G-chatted Walt. We had a nice G-chat. You can look at the history. I'm like, hey,
Yeah.
got this beer thing going. You want to make some labels and stuff, and I'll pass it off to you, Walt.
Yeah, there's probably a lot of really like cringe-worthy chat transcripts available in our Google accounts, but
including when you met your wife.
yeah, which you quoted a lot at our wedding. But yeah, so Adam was the best man at my wedding. We go way back, but yeah, so as Adam started homebrewing in Chicago, I was living in Cincinnati, working at a couple design firms down there, Topic Design and Bluestone Creative, and his basically weekend hobby of homebrewing became my after-hours hobby, weekend hobby of designing can labels, coming up with brands, names, and all that fun stuff. So, and it was one of those things that just really kind of snowballed. Like, you know, they brewed one batch and like, oh, we had an idea for a name. Could you whip up a label? And I was like, sure. And then like 2 weeks later, it was like, hey, we brewed like 4 more batches, and here we have all these names. And I was like, okay, I can do this, but I have to do all this other stuff first. But I'll get to it. And we just kind of kept doing that. And you know, it was one of those things we'd always kind of talked about and kicked around the idea of coming back to Columbus. We love it here, and doing something entrepreneurial. And you know, I think that the time was certainly right to make a run at opening a brewery. And I mean, Adam lived in Chicago and saw the sort of explosion that happened there with craft brewing, and you know, Ohio always being just a couple years behind. You know, the big metropolises, you could see that, you know, Ohio and Columbus specifically were sort of poised for the same sort of explosion. And, you know, flash forward, you know, 8 years, 10 years from then, I mean, look around, the amount of breweries, it's insane, and it's awesome. And we, you know, we're really proud to be part of that sort of, I guess, second wave or first new wave. I don't know what you want to call it, but
yeah, I'll set the time. It was 2012 when we sat down, in late 2011, early 2012. We said, you know what, we're kind of onto something. The beer is starting to taste a little better, kind of as good as stuff we're drinking on the shelf. The labels are looking better than things that we see on the shelf. Maybe we're onto something. And there was a brewery in Chicago called Pipeworks that were blogging about their startup. And they were doing this new thing that I was not really familiar with called Kickstarter. And you know, looking more, it was a way that you could raise money from having a business idea or a bunch of other things. And now everyone is pretty familiar with Kickstarter. So we said, hey, let's give this a shot. Let's put together a plan, put together some videos, and talk about what we were going to do. And February 2012, did the Kickstarter campaign. It was successful at the end of March 2012.
Yeah, and if you look at any can of Land Grant beer, underneath the government warning, you'll see a shout out to our Kickstarters.
Yeah, the top reward if you gave $1,000.
Yeah. You'll see my parents' names, Michael and Alice Keys. You'll see Adam's parents, Chris and Denise, and a random guy named Phil. So
Phil Picalny.
Shout out to Phil Picalny for getting in on that Kickstarter.
Phil used to work at the Dispatch. I was playing golf with my father-in-law, and you get an email every time someone supports your Kickstarter campaign, and I was like, who the hell's Phil Pikelny, and why did he give us $1,000? So then that was really cool. So it's a way. Once the tap room reopens, that's that room. We have all of our backers on there, and very shortly after that, right after we had the Kickstarter. So being in Chicago, my wife's from Chicago. That was a deal I had with her. If we had a successful Kickstarter campaign, then maybe we're onto something. We'd start the brewery. That's when I got an email from the gentleman to my left, your right here, Quintin, reaching out through a connection of a couple of our friends are here, Jackie and Dan.
Hey, Jackie and Dan.
So yeah, Q, pass it off to how you came on.
Yeah, so luckily the timing just kind of fit in perfectly with running into Walt and Adam, because, I started actually homebrewing back in '97 in between my pharmacist day off type things, because actually started brewing with the guys that started Brew Kettle up in Cleveland in Strongsville, and then my pharmacy career took off, and I didn't really get a brew anymore. And luckily, my wife gave me the blessing to become an entrepreneur, and I ran into you two guys, and this has been a fantastic venture, and I can't thank you guys enough for letting me be part of this.
Yeah, and a lot of those early test batches for what became Son of a Mutter and Stiff Arm were brewed right there in Q's garage.
Yeah,
thank you, Kristen, for letting us
Quintin
do
and
that.
Kristen opened up their garage to our original head brewer to essentially work out of there almost daily, brewing up beers to get us ready. As it took us, the Kickstarter was successful in 2012, but we are only celebrating the 6th anniversary because it took us a couple years to get open. We had a name change. Originally, the name was Oval Brewing Company as a nod to our alma mater. Q's got the koozie. Luckily, we only had some koozies and keychains and not a lot of other stuff. But there was a Austrian vodka that had the name trademark. So a lot of people ask if it was Ohio State, but it wasn't. So went back to the drawing board, and Land Grant is a nod still to our alma mater. That Ohio State's a Land Grant College. There is a Land Grant school in every state. And if you're in our tap room, you can see all the different pennants from all the Land Grant colleges. So way to kind of let it all come full circle. We also lost the building. We were going to be in Grandview, but then ended up down here in Franklinton, and couldn't be happier. We love where we are. Very fortunate, as the folks that are here can see. We could having all this space, which last year we put in this turf area, which was for yard games, and there's a putting green here, and it was bocce, but now it's allowed us to socially distance and get a lot of people out here. So yeah, so that's how we got here. We spent 15 minutes on the first question. We'll see how.
Yeah, Mark, I see a lot of low cups out there, so I think it's probably time to crack our second beer.
Yeah, who's ready for beer number 2? We're trying to get these in kind of a palatable order here. So on number 2, we're going to have another collaboration, which is actually with one of our favorite donut shops here in town and down on campus, Buckeye Donuts. These bad boys went really fast. And also, I think with Stoff's Coffee as well, located right here in Columbus. So
yeah, Stoff's Coffee in there too.
This is a tasty one, and it's not quite a dessert beer. It is a very drinkable brown ale, but it really has a great, rich peanut butter character, and you really get the chocolate from the cacao nibs, and also I think a little bit of chocolate that you normally would get from a brown ale to begin with. So everybody, cheers to beer number 2 of 6 years of beers.
Yeah, and cheers to Buckeye Donuts. They've sobered me up on numerous occasions.
Yes, for sure.
So of the anniversary 6-pack that has been sold out, so this is the most limited of all the beers that we had made. So if you do want to get more, even just today, we are serving every beer but this one. in can form up here in the beer garden.
And they put actual Buckeye donuts.
There are donuts.
Buckeye donut, so the peanut butter chocolate donut in was it in the mash or?
Yeah, in the mash.
Yep.
So while in the first step of the brewing process, there were donuts added. It's probably, and that even goes back that we didn't mention on the Meat Sweats beer. There was actual dry rub added to that mash as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that is true.
But definitely a lot of times when you get these kind of dessert type beers, a lot heavier, higher in alcohol. This is a lot more sessionable of that kind. It's coming in at what we got 5% alcohol, so very drinkable beer. But that flavor really comes through What's interesting too, when you're using peanut butter in brewing, it's a dry form of peanut butter because peanut oil would kill all. I mean, there's not much head, there's not much foam on this beer, but that is a problem brewing with nuts. Is that oils can kill any of the head retention on the beer. So. It's an interesting product. PB2, I believe is what it is. So
That's right.
Have you ever brewed with that, Mark?
I have not, but I've had a lot of beers that have been brewed with that. So it's kind of like a powder, and it's basically dried peanut butter. Adam, I think you should queue up hotkey number G, also known as letter G.
Nope. Oh, there we go. Technical difficulty. How crushable is it?
All right, that's the question. And I got to say, the first person to put their hand up and ring in, bam.
Oh, babe.
How
Three?
crushable is it?
We got a three crusher.
Nice.
That's a good. Let's we're gonna do a quick average. I'm a data guy. Everyone put up how crushable you think this
average
is.
everyone's.
There we go. Twos and threes and threes and
Three.
twos.
One.
5. We got a 5 crusher over here. 5%. What do you guys think? We'll start down there.
I think 3.
3.
Yeah.
Q.
3.
Mark.
I'm going 3, Adam. What pressure's on?
I think we're gonna have an average of a 3. We're 3 across the board. Unanimous 3.
Unanimous
3
Ring the
crusher. You probably that I think you also have to throw in that because this is a variety pack. Like, I guess if I had a 6-pack of this, I could probably do 4. But
Don't overthink it.
yeah. I always that's my problem.
That's a highly subjective rating system.
Yeah, that's quarantine edition right there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, for you vegetarians out there, I had one last night in a can with a cheese pizza.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, Mark. Yeah.
I never want to leave those
That's
vegetarians
That's
out
a good
for
food
sure.
pairing. This would be a good. What would you pair with this beer at Ray Ray's truck? I guess we didn't ask that. Well, we said Meat Sweats, but if you were drinking the Buckeye Donut beer,
They do have that brownie on there. Don't they have a stout brownie, right?
Yeah, that'd be good. Yeah.
I'd get that stout brownie. This could cut it back a little bit because it's not overly sweet and also probably complement it pretty solid.
all right.
I'd pair it with a Euro from Buckeye Donuts.
Oh, not a bad idea. So I think we got into a little bit, you guys sharing what got this brewery off the ground. And then now kind of want to ask, aside from the original plan, how has that changed in 6 years? I mean, I've certainly watched a lot of changes in the last 5 years and 10 months. So you guys have had a hell of a run.
Mark started in January when we opened in October. So right, is that
That's
something
right.
right?
Yeah. And shout out to Joe Chamberlain, our other longest tenured employee.
Yeah. So Joe
Healthy Joe
Chamberlain,
Chamberlain.
and the yellow table in the back there, just
yeah.
recently celebrated 6 years here at Land-Grant. So he's been here since the beginning as well.
Yeah, Joe used to serve us beers. We would come over here and tear down walls and get covered in shit and everything, and we'd go across the street and have beers at Strongwater, and Joe would serve us up beers, and we looked like coal miners or something, just covered in soot and dust and everything else.
Yeah. Yeah, and then tomorrow, 6 years ago tomorrow, essentially we started with 2 bartenders, including Joe, and had to call our friend Molly up that night to she was working at Bodega.
Is Molly in town?
I think so.
And
Molly, come down.
And
Have a beer.
she had to start bartending, but I see a table over here of Q's parents and Kristen and my parents and Walt's parents and our family were all washing dishes, cleaning glasses, and everything that we didn't actually anticipate. It was really amazing that
learning how to
that first day.
bartend on the job.
Yeah, just keeping everything going. So that was a big. I guess that from the beginning, we wanted that spot for people to come down. This year, I guess aside, since a lot of things had changed. I think the biggest change is when we were able to add all of this out the when it comes to the taproom experience, adding the beer garden, which has been here for 2.5 years now. I don't know. What do you guys?
Yeah,
think?
I think just I think when we're starting out and trying to plan for the near future and looking at the brewing industry and how much that's changed has really changed. I think when we were planning this and we were doing the Kickstarter, we thought, we'll be this production brewery. We'll have beer in Columbus and Cleveland and Cincinnati and the bordering states. But I think with the proliferation of breweries in basically every neighborhood, I think that really changed things where we, instead of trying to sort of reach outward, it was more put roots down here and dig as deep in Columbus as we possibly could. Whereas I think in the planning stages, in the early times, you had these aspirations for being more of a regional brewery that you don't see a lot of that in brewing in 2020. And the ones that you do kind of got there before that sort of explosion of breweries. You've got your Sierra Nevadas and your Founders and Bells and stuff like that. But I think that was probably something that certainly just the evolution of craft brewing in America, kind of just changing the plan.
Yeah, and real quick, Steve and Dennis, I see those guys out there. It would have taken a whole hell of a lot longer to get this up and going if we didn't have those guys in our on our team and dealing with some of the setbacks and the zoning and whatnot. So I want to thank those guys for helping us get open.
Indeed.
We ready for another beer?
Actually, on this beer, we got a quick question from a listener.
Oh.
So the question is, why does it say on the can that it's 6.4%? And that's because our notes are incorrect. So here's the answer.
Oh, look at that. Wrote these.
Sorry, I put the notes together. Can's right. Notes are
Can's
wrong.
right, yeah.
Yeah, the can's right.
I think that three is still pretty good.
Yeah, we'll keep it at 3 for sake of moving on.
We'll move up to a 5 crushability now that we know it's more
This
alcohol.
is a very professional podcast.
Yeah, right. All right, cool. Well, the next beer we're going to have is, donuts for breakfast, but now we're going to move into pancakes for breakfast. We've got Mr. Stack's Blueberry Maple Porter, which I think is really crushable, actually, because I love porters.
Yeah, and I want to give a shout out to my dad. The dumb description of this beer is a direct shout out to my dad, who insists on anytime we go out to breakfast, ordering a stack of pancakes for the table to share.
Oh, table pancakes.
Because he really wants to get pancakes but doesn't want to order pancakes. So he just orders them anyway and asks everyone if they want some, and he eats them all himself anyway.
That's something I never realized until it took me way too long going out to breakfast or brunch, that getting that French toast or sweeter breakfast thing that you definitely don't want yourself, that just get it for the table. That's a great strategy.
It's like sharing a dessert, I guess. Yeah.
Absolutely. And how cute is Mr. Stack's?
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
So Mr. Stacks joins the pantheon. Is that what you want to go with, Walt? Of land grants,
our
beer
cast of characters.
cast
Yeah,
of
we've got-
characters.
We got Mr. Stacks. We got the lime from Let Me Squeeze Past You. We've got Pina Pants. We got
Got Fuzz.
Got Fuzz,
Milk carton,
and then
technically Mr. Balloon Hands fits in that too.
sure
Is Gus an
it's the
original
extended
though?
universe.
and then Gus.
And then Spruce Dickinson, Gus. There's one I'm forgetting. I'll think of it.
All right, I'll think of it. So yeah, Mr. Stacks is a blueberry maple porter. Do I trust the sheet or do I need to look at the can? 5.2%.
I don't know. Look at the can.
5.2% alcohol.
The cans are confirmed. The notes are not.
We got oh.
All right, we got a question of the audience. How crushable is it? Raise your hand. First one's Hanner.
Oh, 4.
Bam.
4
We
from
got
Dan.
4s. We got
4 from
3s.
Dan.
Everyone, we got
Okay.
3s,
4. All right.
2s,
4s.
2s and 4s. We
All
got
right.
another 3. All right. Oh, look at that.
Almost. You got to be
Mark's
quick.
just throwing hats into the crowd.
He's the first one to crush one.
All right, Mark, we're going to start with you this time. How crushable
I don't know if that's
do
what
you
we need
think
to
this
be
is?
encouraging people to do. But
I'll give it 3 on this. I think a 3. I like the blueberry note, too. It's really nice.
Q?
3.
yeah, I think 3.
We're just going to go 3. I'm going to go 4 on this one, actually. I lower alcohol on it. I really dig the blueberry alongside of the really roasted notes of the porter.
Yeah.
I'm a big blueberry pancake fan. Not a chocolate chip pancakes. Give me some blueberry pancakes.
We
I
got
would pair this with pancakes, so that's why I went with 3 because I typically don't want to have more than 3 beers at breakfast.
And
Yeah.
you could be getting full
It's a
from
good
the
strategy.
pancakes. Yeah.
And this is our second pancake beer, right? Wasn't T-Bone's
That's
beer
right.
a pancake beer?
Yeah, it kind of was.
Yeah.
Big breakfast stout. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maple.
T-Bone from 97 won the fan.
It was delicious, too.
Yeah.
So we'll go with quick math, 3.25. I don't know.
There it is.
Maybe. I don't know.
Adam's Abacus at work again.
I thought of the other character, at least it was from our collaboration with Seven Sun, Sports and Jorts. There was the little basketball man.
Oh,
So-
and the DJ from the hops.
and Bonnie did that. Yeah, the little hop DJ. But yeah, so shout out to Seven Sun for making silly beers with us.
Yeah. So moving on to kind of the next topic is looking back. What were some of the biggest surprises starting this brewery?
I can start. I'm surprised that I didn't get in trouble with my homeowners association for brewing beer next to a grade school.
Hopefully they're not listening to this podcast.
Yeah, I'm sure your other neighbors didn't mind a bit, though.
The statute of
limitations.
limitations.
No,
lifted
the
on that.
the local news guy would come by and it's like, "What's cooking today, guys?" And he would come over and have a beer with us.
And this was during the height of Breaking Bad as well. So I think Q's neighbors had a lot of questions.
I mean, I don't know. It's 100-some-year-old building, right? Yeah, probably about 100 years old now.
I think it was actually
100 years
it's
old
100.
now.
Yeah, I think it was 1920.
So
is when the building
The
was
building
built.
itself provided all kinds of fun surprises.
Yeah. To this
My
day.
favorite, well, yeah, but my favorite one was when we poured the new floor throughout the brewery. The original floor was a mess, so we put a big slab down over the top of it, and we had already ordered the tanks, and the tanks showed up, and to slide. I don't know if it was a bright tank or a fermenter, but to slide the tank into place.
Fermenters. And,
Yeah, we
Steve's
were-
over here because I think he was the one with the sawzall.
Yeah, it was like 2 inches too tall, and we had to cut out a joist. So a lot of that kind of stuff, lots of surprises, and then every day running a tap room, at least the first few years, it's some new challenge presents itself, and Adam doesn't give himself enough credit for the creative and ingenious, solutions for DIY solutions that he comes up with for all of our various needs that pop up from time to time.
I think you're trying to say engineering ingenuity.
Yeah. Because you look around this beer garden, and I'd say that Adam and with an assist from Mark and many others have built everything out here that they are legally allowed to build, of course.
Yeah, we
and
stay away
everything
from
else.
we stay away from high voltage.
Yeah.
Most of
only
the time.
only low voltage.
Yeah. So a lot of literal blood, sweat, and beers put into this place. So shout out to those guys.
Cut myself.
So I don't know if that's necessarily a surprise, but it's more of a dealing with surprises answer. But yeah.
Yeah, digging those post holes there.
There was
the old foundations of the houses were still there.
Yeah. That was probably some of the worst surprises, because the fence around the beer garden was dug by everyone here, and every brick house that sat in these empty lots is underneath all of these empty lots.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think they took any of the rubble away.
No,
They
they
just
just
threw
pushed
some
it in
dirt
the hole,
over,
yeah.
so that's good. Push them in the hole. There's a lot of houses under this beer garden.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, I think before we move on to another beer, we want to talk about what were your favorite events or anniversary party, Jenny's. We've had a lot of them out here. And before I go to Adam, Walt, and Q, I want to see a hand on who had a favorite event here at Land Grant. Anybody? Bam, front row.
Oh,
Your
Sisters rehearsal dinner.
Oh,
Awesome.
that's great. Okay, cool. Right on.
yeah, that's worth a prize.
We got a prize.
Oh, look at this.
You never know. Mark's just going to throw prizes out.
Look
Hey! Look at that.
I
10
do party
points.
tricks
So if you're
too.
watching on Instagram Live, that got caught up on Mark threw a hat, and it got caught up on the lights.
We're all
So,
safe here. It's fine.
I do have to say last year's anniversary party was my favorite of probably all of them. 5 years was pretty awesome. This whole area, having a big stage back there, the biggest band that we've had, and as I think behind the curtain every year that we do these big parties. Normally, in the beginning, we would all be scrambling. Julie Keys back there, shout out, former
Yeah.
intern.
Original intern. former
Original
employee.
intern, but
Podcast producer, too.
podcast producer.
Yeah.
Definitely always was here early on with the rest of our families, and Q's whole families over here that helping us get everything going. And it was a party that we didn't have to do much for us because things were put together and just really got to enjoy the day. Weather was great.
Mm-hmm.
That was probably my favorite of our big parties that we've thrown.
I'm going to say Red, White, and Boom. You get a great view of the fireworks down here, and it's an awesome atmosphere. And even like when we first started, I think like before we actually opened, we had some like little fun like stuff here. These guys would. Adam doesn't give himself enough credit, but he's a pretty good barbecue master himself. So
I did almost slice one of Mark's fingers off the one year. As a
Good news is, though, we saved the brisket. So,
it was great brisket. I mean, it was worth saving.
The brisket slipped. He was serving off a knife that we had just bought 3 hours earlier over at restaurant Equippers here in the neighborhood. And, well, I didn't want to see the brisket go on the ground, so I reached, and he reached with a knife. And, I probably should have had stitches, but we'll take care of it.
Are we sure that the OSHA Instagram isn't watching this?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Statute of limitations.
Yeah. It was after hours, so.
And that was before we were open, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, right. So, Walt, what about you? What's your favorite?
So, I, one that really stands out is Strawberry Jam from last year, but I think I still have stress dreams about that event. So, I'm going to go with our first, I guess we've been open for like a month and a half, New Year's Eve, the first year.
That was a blast.
With, so we can never do this again, but we had a stage in the brewery, and we did like a balloon drop at midnight. We had Nick D and the Believers play, and then Belarus played a all Prince cover set at midnight, and it was awesome. And still to this day, I think one of the best parties we've thrown. And it was
except we ran out of food. It was an all-you-can-eat thing.
You know,
so I
learned a lot from
I
that,
had a huge talk about stress streams. That was one that there was, I don't know, a couple hundred people here and we had no food, and a lot of beer. But
it was fun.
If you're in the Kickstarter room when we get back to normal operations, or even in the beer garden, Walt did put together an awesome first year highlight video, and you can see pictures from that.
Yeah.
And they got the Prince. We did Prince right into midnight.
Yeah, it was awesome.
That was a blast.
Yeah,
that was a good time. All right, next beer, Mark.
All right. Moving on to beer number 4. We're going to drink next Galaxy Brain.
Ooh.
Oh.
Stepping it up. And, man, I'll tell you, these Galaxy hops are freaking popping in this
beer.
one. So we got a little haze on this one. And also, this is a double dry hopped double IPA. All Galaxy hops, clocking in at 8.7%. And, man, this is, I don't know. I've had a hard time picking favorites, and I think I've changed my mind every time I've tried to put it to thought. But this one's pretty good.
Yeah, this is a winner for me, at least. But it's not necessarily super duper crushable because it's not the weakest beer that we've ever made.
Yeah, I don't think everybody has to agree with that, Walt.
Yeah, so, Galaxy Brand. Galaxy hops, as Mark said, we have not used a lot of Galaxy hops. This is probably one of the more difficult hops to acquire from Australia, Galaxy. This, and I'd say Nelson Sauvin, which is another Southern Hemisphere hop. But one thing that I like to talk about a lot is that comparing beer to wine, the hops is really what gives the closest relation to the terroir in wine, where you grow your grapes. They're going to really take the characteristics of the soil and the climate they were grown in, and you get that in hops. So a hop that might have historically been grown in Europe, if you brought it over here in the U.S., you get a lot more citrus and pine and similar hops, though, that are grown in Australia and New Zealand get a lot more tropical fruits, a lot of floral characteristics. So Galaxy is one of those, and to get it imported from, it's not really available. So it's a fun one to play with. I think our original Space Grant beer had Galaxy hops in it.
That's true.
It did, yeah.
But this one features it a lot. We're clocking in, I believe it was 8.6%? 8.7.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
8.7.
Yeah.
So we're gonna see how crushable is it? All right, what do we got out there? We got a 6.
Yeah,
we
I'm
have a
seeing
6.
Oh, dear.
4.
Fours.
Couple
Oh.
4s.
All right.
All right. A lot of
you need to
4s and 6s.
I see that the crushability kind of goes up the more beers we have. Does anybody else have that problem? Occasionally?
It's poor decisions.
Poor decisions. Easy way to run a Sunday morning right here.
Yeah, this is one of those that's a dangerously crushable because
Yeah.
of what, I mean, this Galaxy hop adds a lot of that flavor to it and hides a lot of that alcohol.
Absolutely.
So I'm actually going to stick at a 3.
I think 3 is a safe call. I kind of want to go 4 on flavor, but yeah, 3.
3.
we'll make it unanimous.
Yeah, up here, unanimous 3. We got
Yeah.
the average is probably around a
We've basically been
3.78 or
unanimous too on
so.
all
But
these, I
yes, no, it's just this is my favorite too. I think of the 6-pack as a hophead. Shout out to the Brewers.
Oh man.
I think when we started 2020, our plan was, hey, we made a lot of really great beers last year. Let's lean into those from packaged in the cans, and then let's have let's kind of spread our wings and draft and get those beers over to bars that really featured craft beer. And then 2020 hit, and we threw that all out the window, and I don't even know what the count is up to now. Walt might know, but
I should know, but I have
between
no
the
idea.
between the labels that Walt and Bonnie have had to put out and all the beers that our brewers have come out with, it's.
If I had to guess, I'd say we've since I'd say probably like June, where I think we really like kind of kicked it into high gear with the new beers and everything. I mean, I would guess we've done about 30 different beers in package, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and man, the brew team really has knocked it out of the park on creativity this year, and I think with COVID coming in and kind of having to dial back a little bit and wonder where we were going from there. Obviously, draft with nobody being able to go to restaurants or bars was kind of cut down, and we said every beer that's in the brewery goes into a can, and we put out so many new cans this week, and I have really enjoyed them. I hope everybody out there has enjoyed them too. I mean, hands together for the Brewers, because they've been knocking them out of the park.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's Chris, Dan, Patrick, and Justin. If you guys know them, they've just been killing it back there. And man, have I ever enjoyed being the recipient of some of these tastes as well.
Yeah, and I definitely want to take a moment. Chris been with us a little over 5 years, and what he's been able to do just from a managing the schedule, the amount of times we've had to shift and alter and get a new beer out very quickly. And then Dan, who's been officially our head brewer, Dan, just short. It was really right before COVID started. We named him our head brewer. His creativity. We've never made better beer than we have right now, and super proud of everything that's coming out of here. So again, I don't think it can be said enough of what the guys have been able to do this year. And again, it's been a whole team effort from the sales team to make sure that we have beers on the shelf, because that's been a whole thing too. If you're a beer drinker and you understood not just us but every brewery, the amount of kegs that we all had to dump was just a travesty, but there was nowhere to send them. And the pivot that everyone was able to do is fantastic. So without dragging everyone down, because everyone, you turn on the TV and everything's COVID left and right. It's probably as deep as we're gonna get.
Yeah. Come on.
Yeah.
It's
Unless there's
it's a fun
questions. We'll save those for questions.
Yeah. So I've got another question, and this one I think we're all going to get into. Like, I don't know. It's kind of hard to pick a favorite on these 6 beers. They're all amazing in their own way, but going back into land grant history, kind of running down. Who has a favorite beer?
Pool party. Yep.
Bam,
Thank you.
Adam's pool party.
Yeah.
He's out.
It's pool party.
Right
It's pool
there.
party. Pool party is my favorite beer that we make. I like to say that true Pilsners are probably what most people, when they're getting into craft beer and order a lot of IPAs, and a true Bohemian or Czech Pilsner, or you want the hops, and it's crisp and it's clean, and I think Pool Party embodies all that. So I get very sad when Pool Party goes away, which is happening right now.
Yeah, it's that time of the year. We're transitioning away from summer and part through fall, but hopefully it doesn't get too cold too soon. Walt, what about you? Favorite beer?
Brhinestone Cowboy. that's a shout out to Dennis Heathfield, but no, not really. My favorite beer that was an oyster stout. We did like a barrel of in 2014. No, my favorite beer, both the liquid in the can, but also the label on the can, is Lemon Glow. I think it's my favorite label I've designed. It's my favorite beer that we've brewed. It's a winner, and I'm excited for that to come back next spring or earlier. I don't know. If we want to make it sooner than that, I'd be fine with that. But no, Lemon Glow is it for me.
That's a solid one. That was the feel-good hit of the summer this year, too. So crushable.
Did Adam quit?
Adam, he'll be back. Yeah, he didn't quit yet.
He's out.
I think he had to check on something, in the back.
Crushability.
That's
not
right.
as high as he thought.
What about you, Q? You got any favorites from over the years?
I'm going to go with Dropout. It's the anniversary party. That's one of the beers we made. It's barrel-aged, and it's not very crushable, but holy moly, is it complex and very delicious.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Awesome.
So, real quick, Instagram only lets us do an hour thing, so I'm going to go over there and stop the Instagram thing and restart it. So if you're one of the thousands of people, I'm sure, watching this on Instagram.
I'll tell you, there is a lot, Walt, actually, and I've got a lot of
We're going to end that feed
here.
and start a new one. So just rejoin.
Yeah, right on. So everybody get ready to rejoin.
But, yeah, keep going.
It's always so hard to pick a favorite for me. Because
usually when they say, "Oh, pick your favorite beer," I'm like, "Well, that kind of depends on the style, or maybe even the brewery."
Steve, is yours Beard Crumbs? We already allocated a couple kegs to you. We were talking about splits last week.
Is it all new Beard Crumbs label this year?
Not even kidding. Your name came up.
Yeah.
We're like, oh, we know at least Steve's good for 2 kegs. Man loves his Beard Crumbs. Freaking great beer. All right, we back on in
we're
Instagram
back.
world, and
should we have another beer?
Duh. I think so.
I'm down.
Anybody else want another beer?
Woo.
Okay. Anybody got any favorites so far they want to tell us about? Brian, what do you got? Buckeye Donuts on
He
Brian.
likes the Buckeye Donuts.
That's a Buckeye right there if I ever saw one.
Babe loved Mr. Stacks.
Yeah.
What we got next, Mark?
All right, so moving into our 5th beer, only 2 left. We are going to drink Spruce Dickinson, named after Bruce Dickinson of Iron Maiden, is what I heard.
Shout out to the packaging team. This beer was the brainchild of the packaging team.
Yep.
The fine folks that put all that good beer in cans for you guys, and cans and kegs, I should say. And both the beer style and the beer name thought up by our awesome crew on the canning line and kegging line. So shout out to all those fine folks.
Speaking of, we got
There's the canning line guy right there, Derek in the house. Give that canning line a round of applause.
Yeah.
Derek, repping it.
The amount of beers that went into cans this year for us, again, I said that earlier, but was probably double. And I think around the country is we're seeing it's going to be an interesting time. This is kind of an industry thing that because no one was kegging anything and there was not anywhere to sell kegs, that we're approaching an aluminum can shortage. So you're going to already seeing it affecting some folks in the industry. Our friends up in Canton at Royal Docks weren't able to get cans and have shifted some of their old cans into took some of their old cans and labeled them. This happened a couple of years ago. We had to do the same thing. So hoping that we're able to keep cans in stock. But, when you have, sports arenas and everywhere where people think that they're going to be selling draft beer and now it's all in cans, that really changes things. So guys back on the team, Grant's over there as well. So guys have been really kicking ass this entire summer, making sure we are getting beer out to the people. So Spruce Dickinson. What do you think, Mark?
Spruce Dickinson. That actually isn't an Iron Maiden themed beer. It's it's a nod to the SNL skit with who was cowbell guy?
Chris Walken and
That's right, Christopher Walken.
what's his Will Ferrell.
Yeah, Will Ferrell.
Blue Oyster Cult.
Yep. So everybody knows that skit. So that was where the inspiration came from, and it is kind of funny. Spruce Dickinson.
Oh, that looks good.
I dig it. So it's a little bit sour, that's for sure. But
Oh yeah.
Ooh, what we think?
5. We got a 5. We got a 3.
3.
We got a 1.
3.
One.
Sam's got a
5.
1. Couple 1. We got a 6. 6 Crusher. Got some 6 Crushers.
That's
7
that's
quarantine
biased-
edition.
That's
We got a
biased
quarantine.
opinion.
We got 9. Okay.
These are biased opinions coming in.
Grant. All right. Are those low fills we're talking about, or?
Yeah.
Low fills don't count. All right. What do we think up here? Well,
It's good. It's very tart and very sour. So I think 1, and then move to something else.
Walt's
but
at a 1.
It's good, but yeah, I think drinking six of these would be Pepto chaser on that one. But it's good.
I've been at a 3 the whole day, but this is a 6 for me.
6 Crusher. We got a 6 up here. We got a 6.
Wow.
I think I could go 4 on this.
Wow.
If it was about 5 to 10 degrees warmer, this would be perfect.
Yeah. I am gonna go. I'd probably go 5, and I got my eye on a 5 over there. Almost got it
it's
to
close.
you.
Tom Brady would have been able to make that throw 5 years ago.
I'm not sure what the
I should put
average
more
is on that,
spiral
but
it, yeah. What are you gonna do? So, hey, moving on. How has craft beer changed in the last 6 years, gentlemen?
I think one thing that we've seen the most is IPA is still, it's still the most popular style, but what is an IPA has completely changed. When we first started brewing and we say this on the podcast a lot, that was during the bitterness wars, where these West Coast style IPAs that you had Green Flash having 1,000 IBU beer, and how bitter can you make your beer? Where now IPA is still king, but it's more about how much flavor can you get out of those hops. So getting those, doesn't necessarily have to be hazy, but the New England styles, the hazy styles, have really changed the approach, and it's not just about bitter beer. It's about what tropical fruit or citrus flavors can you get out of the hops. Where even early on, you had Ballast Point with Sculpin, and then you had Grapefruit Sculpin, but Grapefruit Sculpin was artificially flavored with grapefruit, or maybe naturally flavored.
No.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But now you're getting, the majority of breweries aren't adding any fruit flavorings to their hazy, juicy IPAs. It's just all from the hops and the way the hops and the yeast play with the malt. It's great.
Yeah, and actually, hop hybrids have come a long way. I mean,
exactly.
hops-
That's
hops
also
you
the
could
change.
get-
Yeah.
When I started homebrewing in '95, you had about a list of 30, and it seemed like a hell of a lot. Most of them came from England and just a little bit from the Pacific Northwest. But I'll tell you, Southern Hemisphere New Zealand hops really opened it up, and those hybrids, even on a lot of old world hops that are now new world, are like off the chain on the fruit flavors and aromas that you can get from hops that you can make a really fruity beer and add all kinds of flavors and aromas. And like you said, no fruit needed. And Lemon Glow's
That's
shout out
great.
to
I was
Lemon
gonna
Glow.
say, yeah.
if ever there was one that nailed the essence of a Lemon Glow, I mean, it's almost like having lemonade in a beer and no lemons involved. It's just the hops are so fruit forward.
Yeah, Mark was pointing out our newest, the plug. I guess it's not shameless since we're at Langrant, and this is a Langrant thing.
I'm not ashamed.
Osher. So when we started out, we had Stiff Arm. That was our first. It was a West Coast style, and if you tried Stiff Arm 6 years ago when it was called Batch 2. I think it was Batch 2 or Batch 3.
It was 2.
Yeah. And then even had it a year later, and every year we really worked on the flavors. We got access to new hops and different techniques, but what happened is that, consumers' taste changed, and we took a lot of what we've learned from brewing a lot of these citrus pale ales and New England IPAs and coupled that with that classic kind of West Coast style, and I think Oshure is really captures a lot of that, and you get a lot of that fruitiness with not all that bitterness. So, what about you guys? Any other thoughts on that?
I mean, I guess what's changed in 6 years? I mean, there's a whole lot of breweries now compared to when we started, and I saw a peak like this happen back in the the 90s. And quality really was like the key factor that kept the solid long-term breweries open. And unfortunately, the ones that didn't make good beer, people didn't like, and they didn't make it. But the quality component, I mean, the beer consumer now is so much more educated, and their palates are more sophisticated. They know when they are drinking a good beer, and so that's really made everyone step up their game in regards to like the type of beer, the quality of beer, and it's really easy to pick out a bad beer compared to folks in the past when they could get by with making sub quality beer. And I would say that's something that has definitely changed over the past 6 years. You got to put out a quality product every single time.
Yeah, and I'll add to that. I mean, I think
Pro tip.
I think especially with the law changes and everyone being able to have a tap room now, I think even more so, like even just having good beer anymore isn't necessarily even enough. Like you need to be able to provide that experience, and that's something we've always talked about here. Is the beer itself has to be great, but what are those experiences we're able to create and provide through that beer to keep people coming and hope people that hope to create fans of Land Grant and build an environment and an experience that people want to be a part of. And I think the beer is step one to that. If the beer is no good, no one's going to show up to begin with. But I think creating an atmosphere and an experience is what keeps people coming back, more so than it sounds like I'm discounting the beer, which I'm not trying to do, but I think that's a huge part of, getting people to come back time and again to your brand and to specifically to your tap room and building. So, and I think it's just become such a competitive market out there with so many breweries. Then how do you stand out and how do you provide that excellent experience is huge. And if you're not doing it or you're not trying to do it, I don't know if you're long for this world, but we'll see.
All right. It has changed a lot in the last 6 years, for sure. So,
all right, on to the last one.
That's right.
The dessert.
Is everybody ready for the last beer?
This is my favorite one.
No, everybody's still sipping. You're out. You already ran out. Oh yeah. What was your favorite?
There's plenty more beer. Don't worry.
Yeah. So I'm pretty excited about this. Key lime pie is actually one of my favorite desserts to begin with, and man, the Amarillo Matoica Citra hop combo on this just really complements the lime essence of this, and with actual graham cracker in the mash, giving this such a desserty feel. And I think this is why we saved this one for last. It's a milkshake IPA.
It's also 8.2% alcohol, Mark. So that might also be why we saved this one for last.
Super here in a minute. Yeah. So I do think this is a really great one. And I'll have to say, I think we may have saved the best for last on this. I just love this beer.
Yeah, so if you look at your can, this is one of the characters we talked about earlier from the Let Me Squeeze Past You.
Yeah, and hold on, Adam. Hold on. We got a question from the Brewers here to the listeners is, does anybody know the reference on the can, Get There Fast?
Like the name?
Yeah, the name.
Does anyone know the name reference?
Get There Fast. What's that come from? Does anybody know? There's a little bit of clues on there with the palm trees.
Yeah, I can give you another hint that when you do get there fast, what are you going to do?
You may take it slow.
You might take it slow.
You may take it slow.
Yeah.
There we go. There we go.
She's got it.
You got it?
Rebecca's got it.
Yeah, Rebecca's got it. Okay.
Get her.
There's a Kokomo reference from the Full House
So,
era.
I mean, he squeezed past you. It went straight from the Midwest. He goes, oop.
Yeah, he's on vacation down there in the Keys.
Vacation, yeah. So I'm so excited about this beer. I'm going to take a lap with my mask on, of course, because that's the appropriate thing to do these days.
It is. So this is, again, Key Lime Milkshake IPA, coming in at 8.2%.
Yeah.
How crushable is it? Hey, Mark, before you go, we got 6. We got 4, 5. Oh my goodness!
5. Oh boy!
I'll go 6.
This is a quarantine edition crushability.
I think Pat and I were up to 7 last night.
Yeah.
Actually.
Okay.
Oh boy!
All right. Walt, what do you got?
I really like this beer a lot. I'm going 5, and then I'm going straight to bed.
This is
Q?
Yeah, definitely a 4, but yeah, I'm not driving after that.
I think I could probably also do 5. This is, I mean, I don't know how you could taste closer to a key lime pie. I was doing my sensory on this yesterday with Justin, one of our brewers, and it tastes like a meringue. Like you get everything, not just the lime flavor, but you're getting the key lime as well. Yeah. I'm not sure, but yeah, you get it tastes it. You get the fluff and everything else with it. So,
We got a question.
Oh, his uncle's here. It's all right.
Hey, dude.
Welcome, Uncle.
all right.
Mark's throwing things into the crowd again.
Well, again, thanks for everyone for coming out today. This is
You have a
this has
question?
been fun. We're going to open this up now for questions.
Yeah, perfect timing.
All right. So the question here is tell us about the paint on the front of the building. And
It was a very expensive marketing campaign.
It was not planned, right?
So the story behind the paint splashes on the front of the building. It was back in 2014. Not too far after we opened up.
Yeah, I think we've been open like maybe a month at that point.
The night before was the Big Ten championship game when Ohio State beat Wisconsin 59-0.
Shout out to Cardale Jones.
Shout out
You hear
Cardale
that, Cardale?
Jones. Yeah.
I guess he didn't. He's coming
Cardale,
later.
Zeke, and we all went home after a great celebration. And I wake up, my side of the story is I wake up, it's about 8 o'clock, I get a text message from Walt. And mind you, from October when we opened till June of our first year, either Walt or I were opening the brewery and tap room and closing it down at midnight. And then Walt had a baby in June.
Yeah.
And then my wife Lauren started working
we should
here
say
in
my
May,
wife
and
had
we
a
needed
baby,
yeah. Aaron had a baby. So Walt was the one opening up and text messaged me. He goes, someone threw paint all over our sign. And if you've ever seen our Kickstarter video in the Kickstarter room, the last thing we did and what we always wanted to do, we wanted the Langerant logo to kind of resemble a male pouch tobacco, whitewash painting on the wall. And group of our friends came out, helped us put that on the barn siding, including Dennis and Steve that are here.
Yep.
And we wake up in the morning. Even Joe sends a thing. The guys from Shongwater goes, looks like you guys got hit by someone someone threw paint all over your sign.
Yeah, the balloon shrapnel was still there when I got there, and so we were sitting at the bar. Adam came down, and we were sitting there at the bar and thinking, well, this sucks, and and
we were really, we were really pissed.
Yeah, like furious. But also like this wood is so old, it's not like we can just wash it off or even sand it off. It
was a Sunday, so we're watching a Browns game, and friend of the brewery, Adam Burlett, who's an artist, we're like, Adam, take a look at this.
Yeah.
Is there anything we can do? He goes, no, it's the same type of paint you guys use. You can't power wash it off. You'll power wash everything off.
Yeah. So we decided, well, it's there. We might as well leave it there. And then basically I went outside and took a picture with my phone, came inside, put it in the computer, vectorized it, and we sold shirts of the newly vandalized logo.
Well, the idea was that we could be really upset about it, or we could and kind of call the folks out, or we could maybe turn it into something better.
Yeah, and so we decided that to take this thing where someone wanted to sort of, dirty up the neighborhood or whatever, vandalize the neighborhood, and turn it into something that could help improve the neighborhood a little bit. So we put these T-shirts up for pre-sale, and donated all the proceeds from that to two awesome organizations in town, the Harmony Project and in the neighborhood, I should say, Harmony Project and the Gladden House. And we pre-sold I want to say over 300 of them.
What we ran into is when we started the brewery, we're like, we'll get a bunch of big guys that come here, and we need a bunch of large and extra large shirts, and we totally underestimated the folks that would come out. So we ran out of smalls and extra smalls and mediums faster than we did large, and so we're like, let's pre-order them so we make sure we're not. If we're giving away proceeds, we get the right sizes for everyone, and it went crazy.
Yeah, we ran it basically
it
was, I guess, right before Thanksgiving through, or right after Thanksgiving through Christmas, and sold over 300 of them. The number 364 is in my head. I don't know if that's right or not.
Yeah,
but
we raised I think $2,000 for Gladden House and $2,000 for.
Yeah. And then a bunch of
Harmony
people asked us if it was
great.
A bunch of people asked us if it was a marketing thing.
Yeah.
And it absolutely was not. No.
Yeah, and as much as that is a part of the logo at this point, and I love those T-shirts. It's just so cool and just a good move to turn what was originally a negative into a positive and really support the community. And also, I don't know. I think they did a good job.
They use primary colors.
Right.
That's the one thing.
It looks good on a shirt. What the hell?
They use primary colors.
So,
and my medium shirt no longer fits me. So
Fortunately, I picked an XL, so
we might need a reprint here at some point.
We can bring that back. I think that'd be awesome. So, hey, while we're got a lot of listeners on Instagram right now, and hey, peace out. Thank you for listening. Or watching, actually, in this case. We got a couple of questions from listeners on Instagram right now I'd like to throw at you guys. First, we're going to start with Walt. We had a question from Sam, and Sam is actually one of our tour guides here at Land Grant.
Sam is sitting over there.
Back in the good old days when we could give tours, and we hope to be able to do that again one day. But right now, we're just trying to all keep distance and get through this. So, Walt, how did you get your start doing the 11 Warriors posters? Those are really popular and really freaking cool too. And
So this is pretty unrelated to Land Grant, but that's all right. We're all here. We're all friends. We're all having beers. So if you're not familiar, 11 Warriors is a big Ohio State website. They cover all Ohio State sports, but as all things Ohio
luxury
State
brand
go, they're heavily leaning towards football. But so I don't know, it's probably 2000. I don't know, when was the last big recession of 2009, 2010?
2008 was the last
2008.
recession.
Okay, yeah.
recession, Walt.
I got laid off from my design job and was looking for sort of like self-starting projects, and reached out to the guys at 11 Warriors and said, "Hey, I had an idea of doing these posters that are like."
Well, I'm gonna back you up.
Okay.
3 or 4 years before that.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
So Walt would do those posters for us.
That's right.
In college, so we look back at
Yeah.
old programs. Like if you look at an old Ohio State program, it's not necessarily the picture of the football player on it. It was artistic. It had design to it, and so we'd sit around and he put together. And I actually have one in my house still of one of the original Michigan games, and would just do that as a hobby.
Yeah, and I used to. There was a group of guys I would screen print with down in Cincinnati. Shout out to Libre OK. One of our original Libre OK interns is here too. Andrew Heathfield. Say hey, Libre employee. But anyway, we would screen print them and I would sell them, and I was scared of getting sued basically. So I reached out to 11 Warriors, was like, hey, is this something to be interested in, just to do like a free thing, like I don't know, post them every week. And they were interested, and so I got involved with those guys, started doing a lot of other design stuff for them, and ended up shooting a lot of games, photography for them as well. But yeah, it was just like I reached out to them, and they thought it was a cool idea, and I've been doing it now for 8 seasons or so. If anyone's got like a hot idea for like another goddamn Iowa poster, let me know, because I'm out of ideas. But
what is your favorite, and why is it at the Penn State in Michigan? In Michigan,
it's my favorite. So if you're not familiar, I've done game posters for 10 years or whatever. So go to 11warriors.com, you can see them all there. But my favorite one I did, the Penn State Michigan one, where the Penn State girl is being spurned by Brutus and the Michigan girl, because Penn State wants to be our rival, but they're not, was a good one. But the best one, and it's been co-opted by the Crew SC community, and which is great, was the UC Bearcats coming up to play, and the Hell Is Real sign. I did that in like 2008. I don't know what year that was, but no, it wasn't that long ago. Like 2000, I don't know. 12,
probably
whatever.
That's close to that.
That's probably the cleverest one I ever came up with. But yeah, so 11warriors.com, go check them out. If you don't like Ohio State, don't bother, but check it out. Yeah.
So fun story. One of our first big land grant events was the tailgate party for 11 Warriors.
Mm-hmm.
And so Walt, Adam, and I are setting up, and Adam makes all this like fantastic beer for the event, and Walt gets this call, and he's like, who the hell's calling me from Connecticut? And it's ESPN asking to use his artwork on Sports Center for the Nebraska-Ohio State game.
Yeah.
So it's like, wow, this dude is awesome.
Yeah, that one was a one where Brutus had cut a Script Ohio into a cornfield with a big what's that called? Like a carbine?
Combine.
Yeah. Carbine. Whatever. I don't know. I don't do a ton of research
That's the
on these
ag
things.
part of the land grant. The ag school. On the
I'm usually doing them the night before they're due, and I have a very tenuous idea for them, but it's all worked out so far.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I've got a question. Actually, just came in from Pat's Pines Podcast.
Pat's
Wait, hold on a second. The Pat's Pines
The
Podcast?
Pat's Pines Podcast. We actually have
Pat from Pat's Pines Podcast.
Pat Woodward back there, one of the hosts on Pat's Pines Podcast.
Now I heard that it was going to be rebranded to Mark's Mugs.
Well, we're working on it. We're working on that. We got a legal team on that, and still trying to sort out the details. But
yeah, go listen to the Pat's Pines Podcast on the podcast network of your delivery service of your choice.
yeah, I may be biased, but it's in my top 2 podcasts in Columbus. So his question was, you guys obviously have a passion for the show Seinfeld, which, yeah, probably. how many Seinfeld nod beers have you done at this point? So we've got some that are a little more obvious, some a little less obvious, but how many do we have? And let's name them off, guys.
So we got the first beer. The first beer we ever brewed. It's called Son of a Mutter, after old Papa Nick.
Yeah.
His father was a mutter. His mother was a mutter.
Yeah, absolutely. That was in Kramer's gambling problem.
Kramer had a gambling problem and
right.
overheard the tip on the subway.
Yeah. Did anybody like? By the way, and we have only put Son of a Mutter in a can one time, and it was one Thanksgiving, and it was amazing. And it's one of my favorite beers.
We did it twice.
We did it twice. That's right. But we did it kind of a third time. Did anybody like the s'more version, the Smutter? Son of a Mutter with s'mores. Everybody like that? I loved it too. I think that might have been one of my favorite fall beers. Next beer.
Urban Sombrero, obviously.
Yeah, so that's a question we get a lot on how you come up with your beer names. And
we just watch TV.
Sometimes we got the name and we go, or sometimes we have the beer and we needed the name. But this was one that I was watching Seinfeld one day. I texted Walt and go, we have to do a Mexican lager and we have to name it Urban Sombrero. And that happened very shortly after. So, again, after Elaine took over the J. Peterman catalog, and she put the Urban Sombrero on the cover. And this is when J. Peterman was doing it. He was finding himself in Burma.
That's
or
right,
Myanmar.
He was.
In Myanmar, as be known to you.
Yeah, you got a little lost in Burma.
And then the most recent.
I don't remember.
Del Boca Vista.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
This came out. This is one of those so many beers this summer. Walt can't even remember. This is the coconut cream ale that we did.
So refreshing. That beer was so refreshing.
Oh yeah, that was
that was also in honor of Jerry Stiller, who passed away.
Yeah.
Who's George's dad in the show.
That's right. Rest in peace, Jerry Stiller, and Frank Costanza. It could never been a better pop television icon.
I think that's one of the best Seinfeld outtakes is when he just can't get Del Boca Vista out.
That's right. Yeah. I had one other question here that came from Instagram that wanted to know emotion-wise, and it's kind of deep. Try not to draw too many tears, but emotion-wise, the feeling of opening in year one versus the emotion of what you're feeling today 6 years into this brewery.
I mean, I can start, and my wife can attest to this. Like,
it's ugly out there.
We tapped our first beer day one, and I had to go back in the cooler because I just couldn't deal with it. It was such a long climb to getting open, and we had so many issues and so many setbacks that we tapped that first beer, and I was just I got to step away, and I went back there and I just fucking lost it. Because it was just this surge of incredible emotion that, oh my God, we did it. And then it was also okay, we're open now. That wasn't a finish line of any kind. That was a starting line. And it was all right, well, I got to get this out because now I have to learn how to bartend right now and serve beers for the next 3 years. So it was, the day we opened was an insane emotional rush, and days like this, it's just a reminder of it's pretty insane, really. When you look at where we started with just the tap room, and then growing to have this beer garden, and the inside of the brewery, how much that's grown, and the beer and the people here, of course, just the team that we have here. It's really insane, and days like this are great for really taking a step back to think about that, because when you're in it and we've got 30 beers coming out and I've got to design 25 labels, you don't think about it, you just think about getting the next thing done. But when a day like this, or really any day when you come down and it's a busy day in the beer garden or in the tap room, and you see all these people that come out to this thing that you made, it's pretty cool. and it's humbling and weird. And in some ways, like 6 years feels like, an hour, and in other ways it feels like 20 years. Like it's crazy, and days like this especially, like it's cool to think about, and yeah.
Hell yeah, man, that's awesome. Yeah. What about you, Q?
So, I would say joy was the first experience in opening. A lot of hard work and hours that went into figuring out how to open this, and now it's like I'm kind of like the small town, homegrown guy. Like I grew up in a small community. Some folks here from Otterville. Like, you come from a small town and people are like, you're from a small town, you can't do anything, right? And, I've always played better competitively when I had a chip on my shoulder. And, I went to a small pharmaceutical college, and when people tell you can't do something, that inspires me and charges me. And right now with this whole COVID thing, they're coming out saying like 40% of the craft breweries are going to close, and we're not going to be one of them because of the chip that we have on our shoulder and the great leadership that we have with Adam at the helm and Walt, and we have one of the most fantastic teams in Columbus. Our employees and our team, I would put them up against anybody in the country. And James has been fantastic helping us with our financials and helping us manage through. We've got some great legal support. I mean, we have one of the best teams in the country in craft brewing. And it couldn't and honestly, like Adam, this guy has been our freaking rock. And like this guy deserves so much credit.
Thank you, Q.
Yeah. All right. Speaking of Adam, what about you, Adam? What were your emotions on day one versus sitting out here today having 6 beers?
Did you Tebow?
Yeah, no. This is as Walt said. Did I Tebow?
I Tebowed.
There's a reference to a former football player at the University of Florida, Tim Tebow, who cried a lot, and I've been known to do so in giving speeches. So, no, I think a lot of what Walt said when we started out. It's one of those that you put a lot of effort. A couple years. It was 2012 to 2014. A lot of highs and lows. I always have the flashback reminiscent. We had such a high. Ohio State was playing Northwestern in Chicago. Walt was shooting it for 11 Warriors. I actually got to go down on the field for that game, and we had this building in Grandview, and everything was looking super up for all of us, and it was a big celebration. And then that week we came back to Columbus and got a letter from our landlord saying that they were going to pull our lease from us. And we had nothing to do. I mean, we couldn't do anything about it. That landlord also owns a hockey arena here in town. So, unfortunately, we're a very tiny company. So we experienced a lot of highs and then experienced the lows. And after putting so much effort into opening up and then it might not have happened. So, but we kept telling ourselves that, again, go back that, Kickstarter is something that you don't guarantee anyone. I've invested in Kickstarter projects that never happened, but I always thought about that. Like, people believed in our story, that we want. It wasn't again. It's not just about the beer. We want to always make great beer, but we also wanted to bring communities together and create a great space. I mean, we always threw a bunch of parties in college and probably got ourselves in trouble too often, but that's something that, if we could do that on a larger scale is something that really, if we can have an impact on Columbus. We love this town. Both Walt, Q, and myself, none of us are from Columbus, and I think that's one of the coolest things is that, growing up in Cleveland, everyone big pro Cleveland, and Walt's from Cincinnati, which they hate everyone but people from Cincinnati. So to be in a city that really embraces it's a very inclusive city, and to be part of that from a community standpoint is something that I don't know if we think about it a lot, but that's something I really reflect on the most out of the past 6 years, on how we can have an impact on Columbus turning into this world-class city. I think it's a hidden gem in not just the Midwest, but America, and what people are doing here from, overall business. The beer scene's great. There's great food here. My wife always gets mad because she's from Chicago, but it's not a mini Chicago. It's a Columbus, and I think that's something that Columbus doesn't really realize, is that it is a fucking awesome city, and people have to embrace that, and to be partners with the crew. And something that we would go to games. We do all this. Again, I'm just riffing here. So it's unbelievable. I think the craziest thing for me wasn't just opening the brewery. It wasn't even just getting our beer served at Ohio Stadium. It was watching someone order a Land-Grant beer at Ohio State and going, they could have bought a Bud Light and they bought our beer. That's fucking awesome. And so as someone who never had an alcoholic beverage in Ohio Stadium before I had a Stiff Arm can, that was really, really, that's the thing that I still don't, I don't know, but it still hits me that we read an article in Business First, and it said Ohio State's going to start selling beer, and Land-Grant Brewing is going to be what was it? The
Anchor Craft.
Their
inaugural.
Yeah, it was. We're going to be the craft beer, and that all came full circle. But it's, as Walt said, it's times like these, standing up on stage last year, watching all the people out here, watching everyone that came out now during a pandemic, socially distanced here. This is amazing. It's great to make great beer. But it's being able to create great opportunities for a lot of people, and as we say, we create great experiences through beer. That's what we love to do. So,
yeah, that's 100%. It has always been about. I mean, the beers are great. But getting to have a beer with somebody is even greater. And
yeah,
I mean, I know all of us up here. Thank you guys for coming out. It's so awesome to spend some time with some people. I know we got to keep our distance and wear masks. It's a little different these days, but all of the great parties that we've had here, all the beers we've had with everybody, and absolutely fantastic. Just having beers with the three of you guys right now.
Yeah.
Well, cheers to you guys. Any other questions that we have before we?
Yeah, I think we're out of Instagram
out?
questions and any that were submitted. Does anybody else have any questions, or do we want to just work on that crushability a little further?
I'm clearly a better basketball player. The question was,
He's better
who
at
is a
defense.
better basketball player? Walt does have the height.
He tries harder.
I'm the hustle guy. I got the hustle.
Yeah.
And Walt can dunk.
Mark Price.
I can't dunk anymore. That was a long time ago.
What's the question? I'm not sure.
You got to start guarding me across the half-court line. So, yeah. Anyway,
there's been a challenge showdown.
Right. We'll play one-on-one later over there. But after some more beers. But
we got to get that skeleton
I just want to
cleared
throw
out,
in,
man.
we say this at the end of every Beers with the Brewers episode, but today especially, be sure to tip your bartenders, tip your delivery drivers, tip anyone that's helping you out today or otherwise. Our staff's incredible, and they deserve your support. So be sure to tip everybody a lot.
Yeah.
A lot,
and if you
as much as you can.
If you haven't voted yet, get out and vote. Do your civic duty.
Vote and work.
Thanks everyone for coming out. We love you all. Here's not just 6 more years, but a lot more than 6 years.
Yeah, cheers.
But 6 years. Thanks everyone.
for listening. Hey, Walt, guess what?
What?
Is another hit episode.
Another hit episode. Beers the Brewers.
Guys, thanks
Cheers,
for
everybody.
listening.
Thank
Thanks
you
for
again.
watching. Have a beer with me.
Enjoy the rest of the day. Hey, college football. Go Bucks next week. Let's do it.
Cheers.
Son of a mother, why is it raining? You won anyway.
All right, guys, that concludes the episode, and thanks a lot for coming out. Really appreciate everybody.
Barely outside of Cleveland. Or barely up to Cleveland, I should say.